Hi, this is Pam, Flower Patch Farmhouse, and today we are going to divide iris in spring. Normally this is done in fall, but we all get busy. We don't notice the clumps overcrowded. We may need to move some, or who knows what. But you can divide some off in spring, still get bloom, and then also you can dig up a whole clump and just move them, but you may not get bloom. So that's your option. So I will get my tools, we will come back, and we will divide a clump. So here is our overcrowded clump. You notice they're all growing outward from this center point here. And there's a weed even cropped up there. But I am going to get my garden knife and I will clear out this debris, and then I will show you how I cut off a section. So here we go. I'm going to put away all of this debris, and it needed to be cleaned up anyways. And I'm going to use this. This is my Fisker's Big Grip multi-purpose planting tool. I just call it a garden knife, but it comes in handy. It's pretty sharp, so you got to be, take off the protective tip. That helps. Get the weed out of there. And I'm going to dig back some of the soil. So, and you decide where you want to divide from. Slug. Don't want a slug. Okay, so here would probably be the halfway point. So I'm going to just sever from that main tuber there. That looks like it might have been the mother at one time. Now here is a piece with some pretty long roots. That one I can plant somewhere else or dry out, give away. And I see how this one is growing from there. And I can go get my shovel at this point, and I think I might, because I've separated these from this clump. So it's two different clumps now. So I will go get my shovel and dig that part up. So I went and got my shovel. And I like this shovel. It is actually a child's shovel. It's not like a plastic toy shovel, but a child size shovel. And I think I have something in my Amazon store, the garden store, that is similar and works really well. What I like about the smaller size is I can get into tighter spaces easily without damaging other plants. And the small size also helps me not hurt my back by digging up too big of things. So I am going to now get underneath this clump that I divided from the other and just work it up. Thankfully the soil is really moist and loose right now. And it just, the microphone's getting in the way. I don't have a wireless one yet. I'm working on that. Okay, just work it around. There we go. And we have a nice clump. Now this I can further divide if I want, if I decide I want to give these away or put them in different parts of my garden. So here's one mother clump and here's two coming off of it. We could just divide that off very easily. And there you have a nice sized one right there that you could plant somewhere else. I have to look up what color this is and see. I think it's a nice pretty pink. But so these ones can be planted elsewhere. This has more coming up from it. So So those two can be planted elsewhere, but this one I'm leaving. And I'm leaving it in the size of clump it is, because this one will bloom this year. These other ones may not, and they may, but because they are a very good, nice big size. But so this one will go ahead and bloom. Also, I'm going to go get some fertilizer. Anyway, so that is how you divide your irises in spring. I went and got my bucket of compost, and now I'm just going to cover up the exposed roots. I'll spread it out, but I also will try to keep the backs of these showing because they don't like to be buried deep. And now that we're not going to have super hard freezing weather, they do not need any coverage whatsoever. Okay, I got my fertilizer. I just have it in a little tub right here, and I'm just going to sprinkle it around, and then I'll just kind of mix it into the soil with my little garden knife, planting tool, whatever you want to call it. So I just kind of mix it in. We are supposed to get some more rain a little bit next week, which will help to rain it in, or water it in. And then if it doesn't rain when I need to water, it will water it in there. And this soil is good and moist. Let me get that over there. You don't want it right on top of a bulb. You want it kind of away from it. So there. That is how you divide iris and keep it. It will keep blooming this season. It will bloom this season. I will share later on in the spring when it is blooming, and you can see for yourself how well it did. A lot of times, if they're overcrowded, they won't bloom very well at all. So if you do this, you'll at least get the same amount of blooms, if not more. They'll just fill in again. So this is not something that's a one-time deal. You'll have to do it over and over again, especially if it's like here where my irises thrive. And these were just planted 2 years ago. They recommend usually dividing every 3 years, but every 2 years is probably more what I do, just because they thicken up so well or so quickly and can become overcrowded. I want to show you how you could plant up some of your iris rhizomes in pots. Now, the iris gardens I go to, a lot of times they'll even have them blooming in pots. So here's my compost. I'm just putting it right into this little pot. And here is my rhizome. Now I need to cut back those roots a little bit, so I need to get some pruners. Little hand pruners, and I'll give those roots a trim. It's not going to hurt them any, and just trim them back so they fit well into the pot. Now I could pull this one free and not put it in there too, but I want to put them all in there. So you see I'm just cutting back those long roots. Don't worry, they'll put on more, but you just cut them back enough that this fits nicely into the pot. You might have to tuck some of them in, and then you just fill in with more compost. Now these are not meant to be in this for a very long time, just until you can get them out in the garden, give them away, or what have you, or after they bloom, and you can see what color they are, where you want them. If you have a color coordinated garden, you know, like all purples or whatever. But then I would put some of the bulb food on top and kind of mix it in there, and then set it somewhere where it'll get nice sun. But you also have to be aware that with the black pots, they will get very hot in direct sun. So if you have a very hot climate, you would want to put them where they'd get mostly morning sun and maybe some afternoon shade. Or put this pot down amongst your other plants, and it will not get the sun directly on the pot to make it too hot. And then you can move the iris out once it's done blooming and of your garden and put it somewhere else. And that is how you pot them up to give away or to make them where they're portable. So I hope that gives you some ideas.